Welcome to the Home Building Hub, your essential podcast guide to building your new home. Hosted by industry experts Colin Bischoff and Darren Brennan, this conversational podcast will help better educate you about all things new home building so you can avoid costly mistakes and enjoy your building experience to the fullest, no matter which home builder you choose.
Hey there, folks, and welcome to the Home Building Hub. You're with Colin and Darren, co-hosts as always, and today we're going to talk about a recent announcement at the time of recording this around the insurance premiums going up here in Victoria, Darren. So firstly, mate, I want to find out how you're going and please give us a bit of a rundown into this topic.
Mate, I'm going well, thank you. It's an interesting topic, and I think there'll be plenty of people a bit sceptical around what's going on out there, etc. But hopefully we can shed some light on that. I know you're very passionate about this one, Cole. So I'm going to do the intro. You're going to do a bit more of the down and dirty talk about it, and let's see how we go coming out the other end. And hopefully people leave the episode feeling educated on where we're at, what's going on, etc., etc. So to cut to the chase. It's come out this week, reported in the news that the insurance premiums on all builds will be going up. So it's reported that we can expect around a 63% increase to the insurance costs effective from the 6th of August 2024. Guess to be real about what that looks like, it's a big number, 64%, scare tactics, media, etc. That equates to about $2,500 on a $500,000 build. So it's not a massive amount of money. Yes, $2,500 is a lot of money, but it's not. I think when they report 64%, they're doing it that way so that there is a bit of a scare tactic in that. You think it's a lot more. So for a home buyer who's spending less money, let's call it $300 to $350,000, you're going to be less than $2,000. So if you've got a $500,000 contract, about $2,500. The talk is it's worsening the affordability crisis. Yes, to some degree, but $2,500, people are going to spend that on downlights on their home, Cole, or something else. They'll paint some walls or they'll do something that's going to be that amount of money anyway. So, that $2,500, $1,800, whatever it's going to end up being, it's not going to be that much money in the scheme of things, I guess, is probably the reality. But I guess maybe flick over to you. It's more about how it's reported, right?
Yep, certainly is. So I think the first 2 minutes of this episode is for all those who don't want to listen to the rest. It's not a huge amount of money. It's not a big deal. It's not a bigger deal as if it's being made out to be. So in preparing for this podcast and this episode, Daz, we went through the articles that have been released, and all the headlines again, consistently with our industry have been doom and gloom, like, hammers this and, whatever that. And like, I guess the goal is obviously for media, it's always to alarm people and to get them to read the article and click on the button and whatever. It's always been like that, I suppose. But I guess what frustrates me the most, Darren, is that this reporting and these headlines, these BS headlines, are there to scare people, and we're in an industry that's trying to rebuild confidence. And when you're out there as a news outlet and you're telling people, oh, it's a affordability crisis issue again and again and again, when we're talking about a couple of grand, like, for crying out loud, like, why do that to an industry? Why don't they actually do something positive for once and get out there and report on how hard we've all worked to get through the 2022-2023 period, how hard every customer, every supplier, every trade, every builder's worked to get themselves through and completed homes in timely fashions, in all that sort of stuff. That's probably what I guess really pisses me off, to be honest, Az, is that I'd love to see people who are considering building right now, right here today. It's actually a good time because we're past the toughest times, I would have thought, Darren. We have been through a lot in our industry, as you know. And what I want to clarify is that this decision to increase insurance premiums, it's not it's not a doom and gloom decision. It's a protective measure rather than an indication of industry stability. Okay, that's how I see it. The VMIA, naturally, they've had to fork out a lot of money with builders going under the last sort of 2-3 years. So naturally, they're going to need a little bit more to make sure they protect new home buyers who are thinking about purchasing right now, here today, and forever in the future, right? So I think what we should do is we should put it in perspective, Darren, is probably where I'm coming from. Is, like I said, 2022 and a portion of 2023 were very challenging, not only for builders, but for customers, suppliers and trades, for everyone. And for me, Daz, I think just seeing another doom and gloom headline about a topic that's not doom and gloom at all, it's so annoying given how hard we've worked the last 2 or 3 years and come out the other side. And it just frustrates me to see that, because we've all fought so hard for that. That time frame for a single story is back down to 5-6 months, right? There will be builders that doesn't apply to, fine, but the absolute majority of customers I've dealt with are happy. These are people who've deposited mid last year, mid 23 until more recently, and they've completed their homes and they're happy. They're in a time frame that they're happy with. They've in a price that they're accepting and they're happy with and could get finance for. Like, why ruin it any further? Like, people they're the things that I'd love to promote. They're the discussions I'd love to have, and they're the reports I'd love for people to be able to see and read out there, rather than this rubbish about doom and gloom over 63, 64, whatever, the 65%, which correlates to a couple of grand. Like, yes, you're going to pay a little bit more, but if the concrete rates go up next week, you're going to pay the same anyway. That's why builders continue to apply price increases to be ready for, the pricing they're discussing in the background with trades and suppliers, so that they're ready, and that what happened 2 years ago, or 1 to 2 years ago, doesn't happen again.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, Cole, also, the $2.5 grand, and I know the speed of sites has improved astronomically for most builders. And I would say most builders are building within the contractual timeframes now, where there was plenty that weren't. But if you're 1 month quicker at building the home, well, you're going to save a repayment of probably $2.5 grand. So if you're 5 months quicker, like pretty quickly you do the sums, you go, hold on, actually, what am I worried about? It's not even a number to be worrying about at all. You're probably going to save that alone in repayments, less rent that you have to pay if you're renting a place, because your house is going to get built quicker, because that's where the industry's back to, and back in operating efficiently. So, I think you're right on the money there, mate. I think it's a bit of a blowout story, which, and also putting into context, every time there's a flood, insurance premiums go up, right? Mass flood in Queensland, and everyone in Victoria pays more for their insurance premiums, because the insurance companies have to fund out money. So they need to build up a pool of money again, right? For the next time that may, and it's certainly not guaranteed it'll happen, may happen, So, it's like any insurance. It's just the way it sort of rolls, I guess. I guess, Cole, when looking at what are they getting for their premiums, I think it's probably important to understand that, we'd be really wrapped if we could report you're getting something more for that further increase. But the reality is, it's just to ensure that, that industry body remains really strong and stable, and it's there to protect the consumer. And that's what the insurance is for. It's there to protect the insurer. So it's not necessarily you see a tangible, and we were talking about this before, Cole, that I've taken out a lot of insurance over the years, and most of it I've never claimed on. I think I said I've claimed on a car insurance policy once or twice, and I've never claimed on my house insurance, not once. Touch wood. I don't want to have to do that either. But there's plenty of insurance you take out you never claim on, so you get nothing for it. You pay the money, and that's sort of part of it. I guess what would be great is if we did see, and then someone from the VMIA was listening, is that there was some of that increase went towards more customer service managers and case managers for those people that are going through the painful process of an insurance claim. It's not easy, and it is arduous and does take a while to come through, and you've got to go through a whole lot of steps, and you're emotionally stressed and financially, potentially drained a bit when that happens. So, a bit more assistance in that space would be really great, so that those people can be, serviced in a far more efficient manner. So, yeah, it's certainly an interesting news article this week that's come out, and something that hopefully people see through the headlines to the reality of it's a pretty small dollar value increase in the scheme of things, Colin, particularly given the positive things that are happening in the industry right now from a bill point of view, jobs on site moving forward, customers getting great service from most builders out there right now.
Yeah. Yeah, totally agree. And I think just on the VMIA thing, like, we discussed whether I do or don't do this, but I have been through the process of claiming insurance for a new home build personally. So not only do I work in the industry and understand, that side of it, things are going a lot better. I've been a customer going through VMIA and going through that, as you said, arduous. It's a very stressful and annoying and painful experience, and it's a costly experience. We had to pay, I would say, let's say my contract price plus that, half of that again on top, just to complete our house. And so for those out there listening who have gone through the process of insurance, and for those who are going through it right now, like, I feel your pain. And I guess I want to acknowledge for all of those people that an article like this it's offensive, like, to say it impacts the affordability crisis, and it really downgrades all the hard efforts of those people who have been through that process, and the builders who have had to pivot to get through this, and every supply and trade that I've talked about earlier. Like, it's offensive to each and every one of us to write crap articles like this. It's not a massive deal. It will be factored into the price. They won't even know about it. Like, we just increased all of our prices by 20, 30K, didn't we? Like a month or two ago. And that's
CC and 7-star changes,
because of the new regs, and they wouldn't write articles about this. Like, they wrote enough about that in the first place as well, Darren. But I think it's quite offensive, and I hate it. I dislike it, would be the nicer way, but I hate it to see this stuff. And I'd love to see a bit more positivity out there, because that's more of a true reflection. The VMIA, I would love to see some more case managers support staff in there, because the process is far longer than it needs to be. In fairness to them, there's a lot more builders they had to deal with, and a lot more cases they had to deal with that they were not geared up for. So the reality is that this may not give us a bit more to claim in terms of insurance. It may not give us too many benefits, but one of the comments I'd seen by a politician, Darren, was pretty rough, and I think it was along the lines of just saying that there's home buyers see nothing new for it, like there's nothing coming out of these premiums, and I would argue that's incorrect. The fact that we have a body there, an insurance option there, is the very reason for why you would do this, right? So everyone who signs a building contract and gets through, their building insurance process, like today or next month or next year, they will be pretty happy to know and have comfort that the VMIA is still sustainable and operating in a manner in which it can afford to, even after the torturous few years it's gone through, right? So naturally, they're going to have to increase their premiums. We will have to pass it on to the customers. That's the reality, but it's not a huge deal. I probably rambled on a bit there, Daz, but it just annoys me.
No, I get it, mate. Get it. And as you say, you did go through that process, and it certainly, from me being a friend looking on that with you, it wasn't easy, mate. You knew, once you knew it was coming, it was a tough old time, but the other end of that is you come out the other end of that, and the house is built, and time heals all those wounds. You'd much rather be in your home. You'd much rather have some insurance that's there that does give you some backup, because, again, could have been significantly worse a financial position if it wasn't there. And these are the challenges, I guess, of any industry, whatever it is, whether you're taking out travel insurance, and you miss a flight, or whether you're taking out home insurance and your home burns down, or you're in a car accident, and insurance is painful. I know I had a car accident many years ago where I ended up with a $20,000 shortfall between what they said they were happy to pay me and what the car was worth, and it took months to resolve. And no one enjoys that time. They're ugly times. So, but I was very glad I had insurance, because otherwise it would have been up for a lot more money. So
that's exactly right. Yeah,
cost me $1,000. It was probably could have cost me, a car and someone else's, because it was my fault. So, that's sort of where it's at. I guess the other big, Cole, is the impact on customers that are already in the system. So you've already paid a deposit to your builder and you're already in the system, and understanding that you probably end up making a call to your builder and asking questions around that. Particularly if your insurance hasn't yet been issued. If the policy has already been issued, my guess is that'll stay as it is. But if the insurance policy is yet to be issued, and you haven't yet paid your 5% deposit, then there may be a chance that some of that cost will be passed on to you, the consumer. So, just be aware that that's the case. The builder will have rights to pass it on, because it is a rise in a external cost that they're unable to are unable to fund, I guess, and under the contract wouldn't be seen as needed to fund. So just be mindful and have an open conversation with your builder about that. Ask the questions, and if you can get the insurance policy before it goes up, great. If you can't, for whatever reason that might be, that's okay too. Just understand there might be a little bit more cost there, so just factor that in to your lending, and be mindful what impacts that could have along your journey. Example being, if you went to a colour studio to pick colours, you might have to spend a little less because you've got this insurance coming. So, just have those conversations. So,
yeah.
Great, Cole. I think it's certainly very, very relevant right now. And yeah, obviously a bit of a touchy point for you, mate. But understandably too. I think just the bullshit stories that come out, and you called it BS. I'm going straight to the top shelf. But the media are really good at it. They're really good at it. And they're loving kicking the building industry right now. So we want to be out there flying the flag of positivity, because there is plenty of that going on as well.
Yeah, agree. I think we've finally got, and I've had this discussion with people from other builders, we've finally got positive discussions being had. We've finally got positive results on site, being achieved. Something good to talk about this year in 2024. We've seen that happen. And I think that's fantastic, because I've seen firsthand what it's like as a customer and as part of the building industry, as we shared. But we should be highlighting a bit more of that, I would have thought, and just seeing these articles, and in an industry that keeps being so relied upon to in terms of in relativity to the economy. There's no point keep hammering it when we realistically need support rather than what's been happening. So I get you want to get some clicks, but for all those people who write those articles, perhaps one of you could step up, talk to builders, talk to customers about some positive stories to reinvigorate the reality that there is some confidence back out there. And maybe you should report and share on that. I would have thought it'd be lovely to see. Maybe we have to do that ourselves, Darren.
Good idea.
Let's go out and get some testimonials.
Indeed. And if someone does want to reach out and is looking for some positive news, you can always jump on the Home Building Hub website and, just click on the button there and shoot us a message, and we'd be really happy to help out in that space to try and connect you with some of the right people.
Yep. Awesome. Well, guys, hope you enjoyed the short episode today. If you like what you hear, you like what you're sort of watching, listening, etc., please jump on, give us a review. They're very, very helpful. So whatever platform you're on, that'll be great. And like Darren said, homebuildinghub.com.au. Any questions, any feedback? Awesome. And other than that, Darren, I think we might leave it there, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the podcast, guys. And just our disclaimer, whilst we're all about providing value to you, this podcast should not be considered as legal or financial advice. It contains general information only, and you should seek out independent professional advice on your personal situation before making any legal or financial decisions.
1,